job right after school?
I was the assistant manager of market development for an Australian government body called Austrade back in China. That was my first job, first job out of the college in China. So my job was to help the Australian businesses to find business opportunities in China at the time. So that was back early 90s.
That was a pretty responsible job for your first job.
Yes, I was assistant manager. So I'm assisting the manager who actually makes the business deals. Yeah.
And so how did you end up doing brand management?
Well, we went to U.S., like I said. My husband and I decided to go to U.S. for grad study. And I was learning economics, actually master's degree in economics. So like many of you in the college, Kellogg company come to the campus and recruiting. You know, just like I'm sure the students here probably are familiar with this, you know, the big companies coming to the campus and recruiting talents for future. That's how I found brand management. And it really intrigued me. I fell in love with it, and I consider myself very lucky that I find my dream job, and I can talk more about it, you know, how to choose your dream job, something you really love and willing to work hard for.
Do you have a family?
Yes, I have a core family, my husband and I have a 14-year-old girl, daughter, and a 12-year-old boy, my son. So our core family is 4 of us. And then I have my mom and dad, and my husband, you know, my in-laws. So we have also an extended family, just like many Malaysian families. I have a very beautiful and supportive family.
Wonderful. Please give a hand to Ellie, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So do you want to move to the next chair? And now I'd like to invite Sung-Ju Kim to come up. We love Korea. Sung-Ju Kim is the CEO of the chairman of MCM Group, which is a luxury leather brand company. She's also head of the Sung-Ju Group. Before this, she had 25 years experience within the fashion industry, and she was the sole exclusive franchisee of luxury brands like Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Sonia Rykiel, and Marks and Spencer. Shh. Hello. You can't hear them if you're talking to each other. And now, of course, she was at one point she had the most productive franchise for MCM, and then all of a sudden she said to me, I think I'd buy the whole thing. So she did. So, Sung-Ju, how many members were in your family?
6 of us. I'm the youngest among 6, 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
And you had mentioned your father before. Mm-hmm. Tell me about his idea of who should be leading business that he created.
Well, as you may know, Korea is heavily influenced by Confucianism. It means they're very much male-oriented society, like Japan. And so therefore, 3 brothers supposed to inherit father's multi-billion-dollar kingdom, let's say, because my father established one of the largest energy group, like a city gas operation, oil gas distribution, etc. And so that was the plan. And girl, like me, coming from big family, I don't know in Malaysia, but supposed not work, and only choice is after graduating decent college and getting married another big family, inherit big fortune like that way.
And so what made you decide to go off on your own and be the entrepreneur that you are now, like these kids want to be in the future?
Maybe I was lucky to be a youngest, so I saw how my 2 sisters, even though they are brilliant ones, they are always in top class, but not really allowed to go such a challenging a subject like law and engineering and whatever, physics, medicine is not girls' area. Girl maximum in Korea around my time could go as a home economics, music, art, policeman maybe. So I said, why, girl and boy beyond our, gender, why it's not depending on what talents we have. So I just decided to challenge myself to the family. So I went against the arranged marriage, and when I fixed my own marriage without my parents' approval, that was at the end of my relationship with my parents for a while. So I completely kicked out. That was the time I was studying abroad in near Boston area, and so since I had no money at hand, I never been in that situation. So I ended up working in Bloomingdale's as one of very marginal position trainee. But that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship, I must say.
Great. When you were their age, what did you study as an undergraduate?
Well, in Korea, actually, I come from very religious family. So I did theology and also sociology major. And when I went to America, Amherst College, I studied sociology. That was the best way to learning about Western civilization. Then graduate school at the London School of Economics in London for international politics and economics. And I was briefly at Harvard, but that was not really for study, just picking up my husband from campus. I did.
So how do you go from studying sociology to deciding to become an entrepreneur and opening up your own franchise business in the beginning?
Well, even though I was not included my father's inheritance, when my father passed away, obviously this multi-billion-dollar company divided in 3 pieces and given to my brothers equally. Meanwhile, no one shared to girls. But me, I think even though I didn't have money, but I inherited the best, which is a business blood, which my father did not realize. Therefore, I was there to challenge and stand up. In fact, when you start in such a male-oriented society like Korea, most of deals done through the very heavy drinking parties, a lot of bribing and big boys network. Very hard as women to starting up without having money, without having such a network. Very, very difficult. But I'm willing to stood up and just went through different road, which is more using women's strengths and women's wisdom. But in fact, I won.
Great, great. On that note, please welcome Sungju Kim. Let me now introduce to you Yasmin Mahmood, who is the Executive Director of YTL Communications. While she's coming up, when I first met Yasmin, she was the head of Microsoft Malaysia. Before that, she was general manager of Dell Malaysia. And before that, she was general manager of Hewlett-Packard Sales Malaysia. And she is the only woman to receive a Key Industry Award in 2007 from the Association of Computer and Multimedia Industry of Malaysia. So Yasmin, did you come from a large family as well, like Sungju?
No, I come from a family of there's 3 of us. I'm the eldest. I come from a small town of Pasimas, Kelantan. Any met Kelantan here? Yeah, so there's only 3 of us, and I'm the oldest. And we come from both my parents were teachers. And growing up was very tough because on a teacher's salary in KL, and they moved to KL for my education. They believe in the best of education for the kids, and they moved here, and we had a tough life.
Wow. Shh. Thank you. What was your major as an undergraduate?
I did computer science and applied maths in school.
So were you good in math? Did you know from the beginning that computer science was what you wanted to do, or did your parents sort of encourage you to go in that direction?
You know, when I was in school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do, which was I didn't want to become a doctor, I didn't want to become an architect, I didn't want to become an engineer, because at that time, those were the only professions that people like me in a small town in Pasimas would be aware of. So when I went to school, when I was interviewed for a scholarship, I said I wanted to do physics, which was my favorite subject in school. So when I went to Australia, where I had a scholarship from the Ministry of Education, the seniors there were mentioning to me that, look, you have to take this computer science. This is the up-and-coming profession. And I did that, you know. God bless the seniors who helped me make that decision. And I did that, and I took applied maths and computer science because I still needed to have the teaching subject. But when I came back, I took a very, very big risk. At the age of 21, when I came back, I took a big risk of breaking free of my government contract. And I paid every single cent of my contract value. But that was a decision that I took at the age of 21, and that's something I've not regretted until today.
Wonderful. So what was the same question that I'd asked from the other two, what was your first job after college?
When I graduated, it was in 1983, and that was in the middle of a very major economic crisis. When I came back, there were not a lot of jobs available. So I took whatever I could, and I went into this company called Federal Auto that was a distributor for Volvo cars. So my first job is actually marketing and selling Volvo cars. And I was an intern. I was a business intern, and I did that for less than a year. And then I went into a bank, a local bank, to become a programmer. And I quickly realized that programming is not what I wanted to do. I had headaches every day by sitting in front of the computer. And that was where I learned a very important lesson, which was, and that's something all of you, you know, whenever somebody asks me, what do you want to be, after, you know, what career do you want to take? My first question is, what kind of life do you want? Because I didn't want to have a life behind a desk. I want to go out, meet people. And that was when I took up a sales and marketing role, and eventually I went into Hewlett-Packard. It was my first job with a multinational, and I combined sales and marketing with technology, which is what I learned in school.
So were your parents happy with your choice?
My parents were happy with whatever I choose. That makes me happy is what makes them happy. So I was very blessed to have very supportive parents.
And yes, very, very important. But I don't think any of the three did not have, well, maybe one did not have supportive parents. Supportive in a different way. So do you have a family now?
Yes, I do. I have a son, 17 years old. I have a stepdaughter who is, and I'm going to be a grandmother soon. My stepdaughter is pregnant, and I'm going to be a nene soon. And my husband and I have my parents. My parents they're from Kelantan, but I dragged them from Kelantan to stay with me, bought them a house to stay with me in KL, so that they are I call my father my personal secretary. And my mother is there to always, you know, when I travel, they were there for me. So they were my extended family and also my supporting infrastructure as I pursued my career.
Right, wonderful. So please welcome Yasmin Mahmood. So at this point in your careers, all three of you run major enterprises. Would you consider yourself, do you think you're successful? Would you say you're successful, Sungju?
Well, I have different definition of success. It's not really how much money you make, how famous you are, how powerful you are. I think it is to truly satisfy your deep heart. I mean, what is mission for? I'm very mission driven. Therefore, even I face a lot of difficulties and failures, but I can stand up again because I found my mission and vocation in my life. That's what I'm pursuing. So what is my mission? Three things. One is I just want to prove women can do it. I did. And second is corruption in Korea. When I started, it was very rampant. I just stood up there. Is there a way, clean hand policy, you can still succeed? I think it is very much to do with the women's motherhoodship. It's not because I'm better than others. I just want to see my children living in more fairer and more transparent society. That's why I was willing to succeed. But I did, and it was just I pursued it and succeeded with a very creative way. I adapted IT, information technology first, where I was faster and more accurate than many other boys who are more heavy drinking parties, a lot of bribing. That's the way they make a business. But I overcome with the creativity and innovation. Third mission was how can I compete as a small medium company, women-owned, can compete in global scale with the giants. I think we are winning it now.
Well, there. Just so you know, those of you in the audience, Sungju was listed in Forbes Asia in 2012 as one of the 50 top Asian businesswomen, and by Fortune magazine as one of Asia's 25 hottest business people. So Ellie, I mean, you run anyone who runs a major enterprise like yours would be considered successful. So do you personally feel you're successful?
Irene, I would say honestly, yes. Because success is all in relative to your own definition. Yeah? First of all, I'm very happy that I actually sitting here among a very talented group of people, women especially. So I think that's a success on its own, that we are able to be here and share with you what we have gone through, and hopefully that will be offer some help to you. Secondly, to me, my biggest inspiration in life is I learn something new every day. And that's what I have accomplished. I learn something new about myself, about my business, about my people every day. No boring moment, okay? So this is what I call when you do something you truly love, you can't wait to get out of bed every morning and go to work, and that's what I call success. And thirdly, what's very important to me is I work with people, and they are successful, getting more and more successful every day out of we working together as partners. And that is very important, satisfactory for me. So if you consider these things, I truly think that I'm very blessed and I'm successful.
Wonderful. Yasmin, you have led Dell Malaysia, Microsoft Malaysia, Hewlett Packard, and YTL. So at this point in your life, do you consider yourself successful?
I really just like what Ellie mentioned. Success is a mindset. And at this point of time, the short answer is yes. Because I'm happy with what I have done, and I'm happy where I am now. From very small, I had this visual image, and I believe in this power of the visual image of success. And don't laugh at this visual image of success. For me, was 3 white phones in front of me. To me, being successful means that I am sitting on a desk with 3 white phones, which means to me, I guess, was that importance. There was this image of importance in my mind, and I was driven, to get a scholarship, to study hard enough to get a scholarship. I was driven to graduate before 21 because I wanted to come back and help my parents, to help support my parents and repay whatever that they have done for me. And I put in milestones in my life. I wanted to be working in the multinational by what age, and I wanted to be a general manager by what age, which I achieved at the age of 30. I wanted to be a general manager before the age of 30, and alhamdulillah, I was blessed, and I managed to do it. Then after that, I was no longer driven by ambition. I was then driven by passion. And like Sunju, I wanted to prove that women can do things. Malaysian women can become the CEO of a big multinational. And I wanted to prove that a little girl from Pasir Mas, Kelantan can go on stage in Washington Redmond in Microsoft and address an audience that consists of Bill Gates and the Steve Ballmers of the world. You know, and I wanted to prove that. And I wanted to prove that women can be generous in sharing. There's a lot of talk about how they say that women destroy women. And unfortunately, there are cases. But I am blessed to have met with people like Irene and Sunju, you know, and these are people that are so generous with sharing their issues, because women have certain issues, a lot of issues that are unique to women, and we have to overcome it together. So in a short answer, yes, I'm happy. If I look back to what I have achieved, I am happy and satisfied, and I look forward to the next step, to the years to come, where I will be chasing after my passions.
Wonderful. It sounds like you had guideposts to success. In other words, you defined success at each point to be achieving something. Now, all of you talk about how you're blessed, and that's wonderful. But I think all of you work very, very hard to be the success that you are now. So, you know, all of you are seen as leaders within your industry, within your communities. How do you define leadership, Ellie? Do you think there's a difference in how women lead compared to men?
I do, yes, absolutely. Now, leadership, it's a journey. At least I've taken that journey. I think leadership is, it's truly, now I'm sitting here and being, you know, running a major corporation in Malaysia and Singapore. Leadership is about people. I define myself as leading my people first, then my business. Now, in P&G, we talk about 5 E's of leadership. Pretty simple, all start with the E. Envisioning, energizing, engaging, enabling, and execution. So 5 E's. If you think about it, other than envisioning, the other 4s is all about people. So 80%, 4 out of 5, it's really about working with people. Now, envision is very important. If you're a business leader, you've got to have a vision. Even if, you know, if you're not in business, in civil service or in other, like what we do in Global Summit of Women, I'm sure we have a vision. Vision is a must. But the key here is if the people we work with doesn't understand, doesn't support, or doesn't want to contribute to that vision is going to be a vision. It's going to be a piece of paper, or it's going to be a file on your computer. It doesn't go anywhere. So my advice to people, in the audience here is you got to be able to work with people, and that leadership is about getting people behind the vision you have and go after and make the vision happen. If people does get behind the vision can turn into reality, and the vision can be better than vision, and can be turning into a better reality of the vision. So that's my point take.
Sunju, you're one of your titles is Chief Visionary Officer. Speaking of vision, what exactly does that mean? And do you feel that that is a key leadership role?
Well, I mean, when you see like a chairman, CEO, it's a come from very, not authoritarian, but very much power-driven. So as a women leader, I just want to differentiate. Instead of saying chairperson, I say Chief Visionary Officer, CVO. That's what I set my own positioning. But in fact, leadership in 3 kinds. One, you have to know yourself first. You have to understand, also accommodate your strengths and weaknesses. So self-discipline is so important. Before overcoming your weaknesses, discipline yourself, you cannot control or you cannot lead others. That's my first leadership. Second is self-giving. This is when you become the leader. It's not by title. You have to know how to sacrifice yourself for the community, for the entity. You have to show example first. You cannot take granted because you are whatever the title you have. Third is, I would say, more bigger scale. When I say vision, you talk about vision. In fact, for me, vision is more like a very macro view, which society you belong to, what era you are in. I think it should be more like inspiration. Often myself is coming from God. I pray a lot. I'm actually coming from Christian family. But also, because I just want to see success beyond my boundary. How can I benefit society during my life, through my talent, through my vocation? How can I serve the society beyond your success? Then you don't get easily tempted by shortcut, which often associated with the corruption, shortcut often associated with some tricks, crooked acts. I think that's you can overcome. So when you have such a macro and big vision, set yourself in middle of that, then you can manage the microscopic also management day to day. I think you can be a true good leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Seungju. Yasmin, you are the eldest in your family. Did you have to learn how to lead from early on? And did that sort of transfer to all the jobs you had? I mean, all your jobs have head of this, head of that, head of that.
Well, I don't think so, Irene. I wouldn't, if you ask me, I wouldn't say that I'm a natural born leader. I had to learn to lead. I began learning how to manage. So I had to get something done, and you just have to say, okay, how do I get this done? Through people, because as you become a manager, you need to do things, get results through people. And as you grow up and as you mature and your leadership role and your job becomes more demanding, then I realized that a leader is really, to me, is really an aggregator of talents. You need to have the people, and you need to make sure that you inspire, you know how to bring the best out of every single person. And you have 3 different people. You cannot just have 3 different peanut butter talent, but everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. And the job of a leader is to understand what that is and to develop what they are good at more and more, and to try and help them in their weaknesses. Yeah. So over the years, funnily enough, women, I do believe that women has a very different style. The style that I have, which I think reflects that of a woman leader, is what I would call collaborative leadership. So I would not be this top-down person to say that you have to do this and that and this, but I would listen. Now, funnily enough, initially that was thought as weak leadership. You didn't know how to come up and tell everybody to be a general, and I was also very show a lot of empathy to the people. And initially, it was thought to be emotional. I was bringing too much emotion to the job. But over the years, now we realize that, as Seungju mentioned earlier in the press conference, the world now, the economy is moving from an industrial-based economy where you're running 1,000 manufacturing, do the same thing over again and do it really well, now to an economy of innovation, of creativity. And this is where I think that top-down general leadership can no longer work. It is collaborative leadership. It is about people leadership. It is about authentic and sincere leadership. That is what's needed now. And that is why I think now women, natural tendencies, is putting us in a position of advantage.
Wonderful. Now, all 3 of you have mentioned you have children. 2, 2, 1, right? and 1 for me myself, yes. Work life, ladies and gentlemen, let us respect the women who decided to spend their day with you by listening to them. So please, if you want to have private conversations, you can leave the hall, okay? Now, how did you find, what was the way you found to balance work and family? I mean, do you feel you have balanced work and family? Anybody? Ellie, you want to start?
This is about what do you call it, collaborative leadership. Because women tend to say, oh, you go first, you go first. Exactly. The thing that about family is, I think if I have to score myself, I think about 75 out of 100.
75%,
Yeah, I really have room to improve. But over the years, I've become a lot more confident. See, I think that's the key is whether you are confident first of all, that you can balance the work and life. You have to be, right? And whether you're confident that you can play the multiple roles that women usually play. So the first lady said, I'm a wife, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a service, public service social worker, and I'm the wife of obviously the prime minister. And we all are. We play multiple roles. Now, when I'm become confident that I have to, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. Then the question is how. At the beginning of my career, I think my key is to manage time. So I religiously manage my time. I put time spent with my kids on my calendar, make sure I go to the events and go home for dinner. And what I later find, time doesn't mean energy. So when you're exhausted from work and showing up in front of your kids want this and want that, you're like, oh, I'm exhausted. I don't know if I can do that. And later in my career, I realized energy is the key. You got to be able to manage energy. Now, this is the same. How much time that we have every day? 24 hours, right? It is same for all of us. For you, for me, for Irene. So time you cannot create more. You cannot increase. It's all very fair. Energy you can. You can create energy by exercising right. You can create energy by eating right. You can create energy by doing things that will energize you.
Do you think do you think energy will answer being a very good parent?
Yes. Now, it's a requirement that if you don't have energy for your family, then you can't do anything, even if there's love inside here. But when you have energy, that's when you can translate your love for your family into actions.
Okay,
Be there for them, and that's the key.
great. Sungju?
Well, I have a 23 years old girl like you. She's not graduating American college this May. In fact, my daughter always teach me, well, I'm daughter-like mother, she's a mother-like daughter, which is so true. And she also saying, Mom, you have 2 babies. I said, how come I have only you? She said, there's one baby is a business baby, and another is me, your daughter, but seems like you prefer business baby more. Obviously, I did not spend much time with my daughter. As a single mother, it's an extreme guilty feeling when she says so. But I think for me, important thing is a quality of love, quality of time. Even though it was very short period, as Ellie just mentioned, often I'm exhausted in the evening. Only time I can spend was a weekend. Already, I'm exhausted enough. But when you really try to concentrate quality of time, quality of love with your own child, I think she appreciates. Suddenly she realized she has the best role model in her own family. Because I remember when her friends visit our flat in London when we lived together when she was studying in London. And my daughter went to a friend's house. Oh, their mom's making cookies and pies, and they are excellent cook. Mom, what's wrong with you? But when her friends visit my flat, they saw me, business lady with a smart outlook and going around, flying around. They say, your mom is so cool. So suddenly my daughter realized that she has a cool mother, finally. And also one other thing I want to share, because there's some boys here. In fact, now child delivering is always a women's job, but child rearing is very much shared job. So I think really father, mother has an equal responsibility. If you can really wisely share the time being and different way of dealing with your children, different leaders you can really kind of bring them up. I think this is an amazing complementary role you can play, and you can really appreciate each other's success at the same time, make a very beautiful children together.
Thank you for bringing that up, Sunju. Yasmin, you talked about an extended family, and you were lucky to have your parents near you, but you created that situation. So do you feel you're successful in terms of your family life, that you were able to juggle it well?
The answer to that will be, I think I've been successful to the best ability that I can. And I cannot deny that work-life balance, achieving work-life balance is the toughest thing I've had to do. You know, achieving business expectations, those are to me, is nothing compared to being at peace with whether or not you have met your expectation as a mother, as a wife. Because for me as a Muslim, I know at the end of the day I'm being judged about my obligations as a daughter, as a wife, and as a mother. And I feel that the decision for me was made quite easy to choose a career, because I wanted to help my parents. And today they are very proud of what I have become, and they're even prouder of how much I appreciate them and how much I help them. My parents tell me that I take care of them from head to toe. I take them to holidays, you know, on business class, and that makes me very happy. So once I make that choice that I want to do it for a noble cause, I pursued a career for a noble cause. Then the rest of it, I had to manage. So managing infrastructure, having your parents, a supportive husband is very important. So you have to make sure that your husband is supportive. And my husband has been, throughout our marriage, he had snide remarks from some people saying that, why do you allow your wife to go overseas, you know, leave you alone? Why doesn't your wife cook for you every day? I only cook on weekends. And you know how he answered? I was very touched when I heard him answer this. He said, can you do what my wife does? Because I know I can't. And that made me really, really happy. And the third element of it is very, very crucial. And this is my advice to all the girls who aspire, who choose to go and pursue a career. And that is to choose the right company who supports women in the workplace. I was blessed to work with companies like Hewlett-Packard and Dell and Microsoft and now in YTL, where they support that women needs the flexibility. If I have to miss a very important meeting, and this has happened, I had to say I couldn't go to the US or had to postpone it for 2 days because my son is running a high fever. And some companies, if the company does not allow me to do that, I would have resigned, because there is no way I would compromise my son to the company. But you bring enough talent to the job and you bring enough commitment to the job that the company must appreciate that they need to keep you, not the other way around. They need to keep you, and to keep me and to keep us women, the company has to evolve and the company has to create a workplace that supports our unique needs.
So find the right company, yes, that is supportive of family life. Find a husband, the right husband. And find the energy to balance all of it together. Now, as you each one of you moved up in your careers, was there, shh, please, was there ever, it's very hard because now I'm shouting, you know, above you all. Was there ever someone or two people that became sort of a mentor, a guidepost, somebody who believed in you and gave you advice to move along? Seungju?
Well, that's why I joined Global Summit Women.
Ah.
My mentor is Arin Natividad. In fact, it's a true story that you remember 1998, you know, the Asian financial crisis burned down my company. I lost $30 million overnight. I was deeply, not only shocked, but also my mental, physical being ran down. I went through major surgery, and I was in the middle of a misery. But when she called me, it was summer 1998, she said, "Seungju, you should come and give a speech." I said, "Are you crazy? I'm in the middle of a crisis. My body doesn't feel well, and I lost all this money. I cannot move." And she said, "Come, we'll help you." When I went there, I met amazing ladies like these. And also, especially she taught me how to be confident. Because you know, English is not my mother language. In fact, after brought up in Korea until college, I went to American college as a transfer student. First time ever exposed speaking in English and studying in English. So it was very difficult, not only language, you know, also cultural shock. Like a very different way of behaving and thinking and communicating. That was another big jump for me. And so I had always kind of inferior complex as an Asian woman, not only Asian, also women. And in public scale, being a leader, I felt somewhere in my mind always inferior complex, which I could not overcome because it brought up from the family, right? My father always say women are secondary citizenship. So I never thought I would be a leader. So in that misery, and when I met Arin Natividad, she really taught me how to be confident. I think that confidence means that you have to believe in yourself and tenaciously pursuing the mission and dream you have. Third, also sharing with the other women, or even men, who went through common problems, also sharing the solution together, being encouraged. That's why, you know, that time I really started from nil, zero again. Guess what? After 15 years being with the Global Summit, my company grown now $500 million company. And in 30 countries we are distributing, and more than 1,100 people from 15 different nationalities. In fact, we are opening a store in Kuala Lumpur in this June, so I'm going to hire you guys. So, you know, really for me, I think having mentors is so crucial. I think she's still my mentor. Thank you, Irene.
Oh, you're welcome, but you're now mentoring lots of other people. I know that for a fact. How about you, Ellie? Was there ever somebody or somebodies?
Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, lost track. I owe my growth to many, many people along the way when I, you know, when I'm growing sort of professionally. I want to just tell one story. When I first started in US, I have the same language challenge. I was working in Kellogg Company as assistant brand manager, but I was still mentally doing translations in my head. So I will hear English, I'll translate it into Chinese, I'll think in Chinese, I translate back my ideas. By the time I'm done translating, the meeting is sort of over. You know, so when I think that the idea is so brilliant, by the time I tell, and people are like, what are you talking about? We were there 15 minutes ago. So obviously, I wasn't probably the most promising talent in the company at the time. There are certainly people,